Hello everybody. Here I am on the land, southeast Ecuador. Comfortable year-round temperature of about 18 to 30 Celsius. For those of you Americans like myself, that's, I don't know, something like 65 to 95 or 60 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Very comfortable to live here. It rains a bit during the rainy season, but it's not like monsoon season or anything like that. Still get a fair bit of sun. So yeah, check out the view. We got the bathroom and the shower thing behind me, and I don't know. I just gotta hook up the plumbing, and the house is gonna go right here, at least the first house, and then the mansion after that, But I've got all the gravel to do the bases. I'm gonna have to wait a bit to start in the house. Gotta save up a little bit more money, or hopefully Bitcoin and gold and silver start skyrocketing with all these trillions of dollars that they're printing out of thin air. Got the tool cabinet all full of tools, and this area right here we kind of cleared out because we're going to bring the excavator in and flatten it a little bit more so it's a bit nicer, and then putting the house on the end of it over there. Bananas are getting big. Everything I planted over here is doing really well. The katuk is getting really big. The pico, I thought it was going to die, but now it's shooting up all this crazy new growth with really big leaves. Almost like it looks like when it's growing on a mountain climate. Before it had these tiny leaves, now it's starting to look like it should look. So I wonder if that's partly because of the cooler temperatures during the wet season here. Does anyone know what this ground cover is? It seems to be either wild or endemic, and it seems to do really well in wet areas, and I really like it. I should show the purslane so you can see how much it's growing. We scattered cowpeas everywhere as like a really cheap, easy green manure ground cover. They're coming up here, and you may not know that, but the green beans are edible when they're small, when they're young. So pretty soon I'm going to have a whole bunch of edible green beans. They're growing up on the hillside everywhere behind me. I've gotten some really nice growth out of this ackee tree. That's that buttery, cheesy fruit. And I was having a hard time in the lower elevation down by the river here, like 760 meters. I was having a hard time getting them to grow fast. And I thought here it would be even harder to get them to grow because now I'm at 850 meters elevation. It's probably like 1 degree cooler or something. But turns out the secret is just nitrogen, lots and lots of nitrogen. So we have plenty of green stuff that we're chopping and dropping on it, but we're also putting about half a sack of chicken manure on it every 2 to 3 months or so. And, I've thought about this a lot. I used to think it was, before I even started doing any farming, I thought it was really bad to use animal manure because you're holding the animals as slaves in captivity or whatever, but you also have to be practical. And I used to also think it was bad for people to have animals themselves, just to have the manure, even if you're not killing them and eating them, just to use them for the manure was like exploitation and evil and whatnot. And maybe it is. But you got to be practical, and when you're starting with a whole bunch of fruit trees, you just don't have enough nitrogen to make them grow fast. And animal manure is the best bet. And if you're buying them from people, you are kind of supporting the whole industrial farming thing, raising thousands of chickens in a shed and whatnot. And so, or guinea pigs, like Ecuadorians eat a lot of guinea pigs, and guinea pig manure is easily available. But isn't it a bit more ethical to raise the guinea pigs yourself and collect the manure and use them on your trees? Maybe. I'm sure there will be a lot of differing opinions on that. Some people who are super abolitionists will say even having pets is bad. It doesn't matter. Any form of animal captivity is bad. Over the years, I've grown up a little bit, and I've learned to be more practical. We got a lot of nice mushrooms growing on the side of these logs. Mushrooms are amazing to see near your fruit trees. This is a hybrid red jaboticaba, by the way. It's constantly pushing out new growth. As you can see down there, the row of Mexican sunflowers, which eventually morphs into a row of ice cream bean in front of that yucca there, which is almost ready to harvest. Yeah, so I've got a lot of chop and drop plants growing, and there's another row over there that we're eventually going to be able to supply all this nitrogen and phosphorus material onto the bananas there and onto this rollinia, which again is doing way better than I thought in this area. I started off with pretty poor acidic soil. I mean, it's all right soil, it's not bad, but I wasn't starting with the best thing. But because of the mulching and the limestone, I applied a lot of limestone, 400 grams per square meter, and also the regular application of manure. Things are just growing really well, and I'm really happy about it. Soon I'm going to plant some dabai and Durio graviolan zibethinus hybrid on the hill behind the hill that you see in the camera. And you know, those of you who are doing the ento-vegan thing, you can raise crickets and then use the cricket manure on your vegetable garden and stuff. Although I doubt they produce a quantity of manure that you would really need for all this kind of stuff. In front of me, you see horrible deforestation up in front here. It's actually not that bad. This was all cow pasture 10 years ago. What you're seeing was just pure green grass, and then it got overgrown, and these trees are all super fast growing pioneer trees. Anyways, we cut them all down. Not shedding a tear. We're going to bring the excavator through here and dig a big swale right along the contour. And then I'm going to plant 2 Redlands White Sapote and 2 Ruby Supreme 1030 guava, which is a large worm-resistant pink guava. Will be very nice to have up here. If anyone's wondering about swales, and am I doing them just because a lot of people talk about them in permaculture and it's a funny word that everyone remembers and they seem like they're important, or to conserve water? No. You may notice a lot of permaculture educational material is from people who live in the dry, either temperate climates or the dry tropics or dry subtropics, like South Florida, places that have a really long defined dry season. Because that's where it's comfortable for the people who write these books to live, and various other reasons. But anyway, so here swales aren't so important for conservation of water. We have relatively consistent year-round rainfall with just a few very short drought periods. And that's kind of good for a lot of reasons. We don't need to pay lots of money for drip irrigation and stuff like that. But anyways, we also don't necessarily need swales for that reason. The reason that I'm going to do swales along this entire hillside contour right here, or one swale rather, is just because it creates this it digs up this massive berm of soil that's really loose, and the loose soil helps the roots take off really quickly. So I've seen cases where somebody applies maybe a quarter of the amount of compost that I do, or the same amount of compost that I do, but at a quarter of the frequency, and their trees grow almost as fast, just because they had this nice head start of having the loose soil. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully, yeah, also like the limestone that you mix in when they're digging the swale, adjust the soil pH faster because you're actually getting it into the soil there. So we may also put rock phosphate in as well for the same reason. Anyways, hopefully in a couple months, when I make another video, this whole hillside is going to be a beautiful swale with white sapote and a lot of companion plants and ground covers growing on it, and it'll look more like the rest of this area, which actually looked like this, you know, a year ago, and now it looks like that. You can see the difference, right? Yeah. Woo. So yeah, permaculture, it's transformation. Hopefully with each video I inspire a few more people to come down here, or to think about coming down here, buying some land, building a house, starting a family, growing a bunch of food in a very peaceful area. Whatever kind of apocalypse you think is coming, this is the best place to ride it out, you know. So go to fruithavenecovillage.com and check things out, and then you can also go to terrafrutis.com. And a great time to come down here and check out a bunch of land and also hang out with people is the Amazon Fruit Festival. So you can also go to amazonfruitfestival.com, and don't worry, we will be refunding tickets if for some reason people can't get to the country because of the coronavirus pandemic, for some reason continuing until January. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. Don't even worry about that. Just buy your tickets. See you in January.